Hello and welcome to this special edition of ONTV News. I'm Kayla Brandon. Over the next half hour, we'll bring you Orion area election coverage, including results from the legislative and congressional candidate races, local millage proposals, and the statewide Proposal 1. Stay tuned for this special primary election edition of ONTV News. Thanks for joining us for tonight's election results. Despite it being a primary election, voters had some tough decisions to make today at the polls. Voters had to decide on state and county candidate races, as well as multiple local and state proposals, including 3 separate township millages. We caught up with Township Clerk Penny Schultz, who spoke with us about the election process here in Orion.
We have amazing inspectors. They are election inspectors who are trained and certified, and they are eager to serve the community. And they work in the precincts all day long. A lot of them are there from 6 a.m. until the polls close at 8 o'clock p.m. and then about an hour or so beyond that. So they're putting in a full day, and they're making sure that the voters have the information that they need to get a ballot to vote. They're checking their ID, they're determining that they are in the correct precinct, they're issuing their ballot, and then the voter has the opportunity to vote that ballot in private, and then they put that into the tabulator so the voter can see it being tabulated right there while they're waiting. And they can't see the results, but they know that their vote was counted. And I'm so thankful for all of our election inspectors. We have close to 200 that are in a general election, like a November election. Right now we have anywhere from 6 to 7 inspectors at our precincts, and I have 14 precincts. So we have a pretty good workforce out there today that's serving the community. And we also hold our elections in precincts. There's 14 of those, and that's in our local churches, our Lake Orion Community Schools, our Orion Township Library, and our Orion Center. So it's a great opportunity for the whole community to come together and serve the voters.
We begin by previewing the congressional races for the 8th District, which stretches over parts of Oakland, Livingston, Ingham, Shiawassee, and Clinton counties. Here are the Republican nominees. The candidates looking to replace longtime Representative Mike Rogers are Tom McMillan and Mike Bishop. Rogers has held the seat since 2001, but shocked the 8th District and Washington, D.C. when he announced that he would leave politics to host a nationally syndicated radio talk show. Former Senate Majority Leader Mike Bishop was the chief legal officer for International Bancard Corporation before deciding to run. And State Representative Tom McMillan was planning to run for state senate before the congressional seat opened up. The two candidates ran on very similar platforms and are vying for the GOP nomination to run in the general election. The candidates from the other side of the aisle who will be looking to oppose the Republicans come November include Ingham County Treasurer Eric Schertzing, Central Michigan University professor Susan Grettenberger, former state demographer Ken Darga, and attorney Jeffrey Hank. We'll bring you results from the race near the end of the program. If you'd like to learn more about the winning candidates, you can watch ONTV's coverage of the League of Women Voters Candidates Forum. Visit our YouTube page and search Candidates Forum. The next race we'll look at is Michigan's 12th State Senate District, which encompasses parts of northern Oakland County. The seat is currently held by Jim Marlowe, who has been in office since 2010. Incumbent Senator and former state representative Jim Marlowe is seeking re-election, but faces opposition from the GOP nomination from Bob Gray. Gray formerly ran for a seat in the Michigan House during a February 2012 special election. The Democrats' race was cut short when nominee Kenneth A. Van Orwick indicated on his campaign's Facebook page in April that he was ending his campaign, leaving Paul Seacrest to run unopposed. Seacrest is a retired Chrysler purchasing agent. That covers races with candidates on both sides, but the Republicans have a few more battles on this year's ballot. State Rep. Bradford Jacobson from the 46th District was first elected in November of 2010. He is being challenged for the Republican nomination by John Riley. Riley's political experience includes serving as the Republican precinct captain for Oakland Township and being an active member for the leadership committee for the Greater Oakland GOP. David J. Lillis ran unopposed for the Democratic Party. Vying for a spot on the 21-member Board of Commissioners is Republican James W. Goebel. He's looking to replace current 1st District Board member Michael J. Gingell, who was first elected in November 2006. Running unopposed for the Democratic Party is Tori Mathis. Again, we'll bring you the results for all the candidate races near the end of the show. We're going to step aside for a moment, but when we return, we'll take a look at local and state proposals. You're watching ONTV's coverage of the 2014 primary election. Stay tuned.
As the summer begins to wind down, enjoy the transition into fall by loading up the family and taking a trip to Friendship Park for Barn Days on Saturday, September 13th from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. There will be plenty of activities for the whole family, including a petting farm, carnival games, inflatables, farm fresh produce, and a wagon ride. But be forewarned, you may encounter some Yankees and rebels who don't know the Civil War is over. The cost is $5 per vehicle, and proceeds help fund Orion Township's concerts and other events throughout the year. For more information, you can call 248-391-0304, extension 305, or visit oriontownship.org.
Welcome back to our coverage of the 2014 primary election. I'm Kayla Brandon. We turn our attention to the ballot proposals, beginning with Proposal 1 regarding the state personal property tax. Proposal 1 is the only statewide ballot measure for the 2014 primaries. If passed, Proposal 1 would activate a package of legislatively approved bills that would do the following: phase out the personal property tax on industrial and commercial personal property, split the state use tax into 2 taxes, a state share tax and a local community stabilization share tax, create a local community stabilization authority to administer the local community stabilization share tax, replace the revenue local governments would lose without the PPT with revenue from the local community stabilization share tax, and finally, replace some of the revenue that the state government would lose with the revenue from the essential services assessment. The Orion Area Chamber of Commerce held a town hall meeting at the Orion Center in June to help clarify the language of Proposal 1.
I am Mike Johnston, Vice President of Government Affairs of the Michigan Manufacturers Association, and I'm here to talk to you about Proposal 1. My goal here is to really educate you about what this thing is. There's no organized opposition to this thing. This is about an education campaign so that you can all understand what the great benefits of the Proposal 1 will be for you and your community. So why are we here? Proposal 1 achieves 2 really important goals. One is to modernize the tax code so that Michigan can be more competitive for jobs and capital investment. You know, when companies make investments in the state, they bring jobs with them. And the second thing is to stabilize communities with guaranteed 100% reimbursement for local units of government. The great risk to local units of government going forward on any budget is some big taxpayer leaving, right, and taking their personal property tax with them. So on any given day, local governments say, man, I hope no one leaves, because if someone does, we're toast, we get no reimbursement. It creates an automatic hole in our budget. What this plan does, and I'll get into it in more detail in a few minutes, is guarantee 100% reimbursement for the lost revenues. And that's a very important step because it creates a backstop, kind of a safety net for local communities. And the important point I want to make is that the vote, first of all, is on August 5th, 2014, on the primary in 11 days. And if that thing doesn't pass, both the tax cut that's been passed by the legislature and the reimbursement plan will go away. This ballot proposal is about a referendum, right? The voters get to confirm what the legislature already did. But if the ballot proposal doesn't pass, it all goes away. It's a big do-over.
Township Clerk Penny Schultz sees the passing of Proposal 1 as necessary to help small businesses thrive in the Orion area.
I support it. I know that we need to look at economic development in Michigan, and I do believe that that's one of the ways that we can do that. And we want to give our small businesses the opportunity to grow and take some of their earned income and reinvest it rather than paying that property tax. And I think that will be helpful for the small businesses. Currently, the personal property exemption was in place for 2014. Small businesses would apply by way of affidavit for that exemption, and if this proposal is not successful, that exemption will go away in 2015. It's up to the voters to decide, and the state has guaranteed that they will make us whole in any money that we are not able to generate from that personal property tax. The state will fund that.
Orion residents had 3 millage proposals to vote on, including 2 fire millages and a millage for the North Oakland Transportation Authority. NOTA is a transportation service serving seniors, disabled, and low-income residents of Oxford, Orion, and Addison townships since 2001. NOTA operates 13 routes with varying hours 7 days a week. NOTA is seeking the proposed millage as a result of losing federal grants and state matching dollars that are being channeled to other transportation needs. The .4 mill would raise $425,000 that would cover the loss of grants. That works out to be about $12.50 a year for someone with a house worth $100,000. I recently sat down with NOTA Director Lynn Gustafson, who visited the ONTV studio to discuss the importance this millage has on their organization. For people watching, and they might not know this, what is NOTA?
NOTA is the North Oakland Transportation Authority, and we provide transportation services to the residents of Oxford, Addison, and Orion townships who are seniors, disabled, or low income.
Okay, and you guys have some big changes coming, right, in 2014?
We do. We've been in operation since 2001, and we've been funded. Our budget is funded half with federal and state grants, and those grants are coming to an end, and so we're faced with huge budget cuts unless we can pass a millage. So we're asking the voters of Oxford, Addison, and Orion to approve a .25 millage to cover up to 5 years to maintain our existing service of 13 routes and to provide capital replacement for our vehicles.
Having had a hand in the creation of NOTA, the township sees the value the organization brings to its residents in need.
North Oakland Transportation Authority is a huge benefit for people in our community who cannot go to regular things like a doctor's appointment or attend church on Sunday or go to the grocery store. And North Oakland Transportation Authority will provide transportation to our senior population or people with disabilities that couldn't otherwise get to where they need to go. It's real easy for us to get in a vehicle and go to the store and buy our groceries, but for a lot of people that creates a hardship, and NOTA provides transportation. And it's a great opportunity for the community to fund that service. Everybody knows somebody who needs a ride, and we want to be able to assist those that can't get their own transportation.
The Orion Township Fire Department has not had a millage increase since 1960 and has even rolled back from 1 mill to .98 in 1979. Voters had to decide on 2 separate millage proposals, one for operating cost and one for capital and equipment cost. The proposed fire operation millage would ask for an additional 1 mill for 2 years to generate $1.3 million. The millage would expand the fire department's staff. Last year, the department had more than 11,000 unmanned hours among 4 stations. The second proposal would seek 1 mill for 5 years to raise a total of $6 million for capital expenses. Township Clerk Penny Schultz believes this proposal is vital to the continued safety of Orion residents.
They're important for the community for safety. We have a paid on-call fire department, and our fire chief has recommended that we staff our fire stations 24/7. We are growing as a community, and he's determined that there's a need for that. The calls are increasing for services, and he's determined that we do need to have 24 staffing. And so they're looking to have a proposal that will allow that staffing to occur. In addition to that, they're hopeful to purchase new equipment and a new fire engine as well, a ladder truck, and we need to build a new fire station. So they're looking to be able to fund those capital improvements as well as staffing.
Former Orion Township Supervisor Joanne Van Tassel recently sat down with current supervisor Chris Barnett and Fire Chief Bob Smith to further discuss the two proposed millage increases and what they mean to Orion residents.
We've got 1 mill for 2 years for staffing person to go from 6 full-time firefighters up to what number of full-time firefighters?
Minimum would be 15 with the people I have.
Okay, so we're adding 9, basically, 9 full-time firefighters. So we have a full-time firefighter, first responder, at each station 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year.
That's correct.
So when the call comes in, somebody's ready to go within 90 seconds or less.
Correct.
Okay, then the second proposal is for 1 mill for 5 years to upgrade our equipment and our facilities.
Correct.
And if I remember the discussion at the time this was before the board, and Chris, correct me if I'm wrong, with the 1 mill for 5 years, then the board sees that as being sufficient going on into the future, and they have agreed that they will not seek renewal of that.
That's correct. That's correct. That will that lets us put in play the plan that the fire chief and I have worked on to basically operate the department with the proper equipment and the facilities. So that will get us over the hump in that regard. And then, like I said, in the 2 years, we would be taking another look to say, hey, do we need to get the full 2 mills for operation and staffing, or could we do something less than that? So
Okay, let me see if I can summarize for you on the staffing millage. Right now, this township levies 0.9916 mil for fire department operations, and that millage expires in 2 years. And it is insufficient to provide the full-time staffing we need to put us on par with neighboring communities. I mean, even up in Oxford, with 3 stations and about half the population, they've got 13 full-time people on their staff. So we're asking 1 mill for 2 years. So in 2016, when both millages expire, then the township board at that time will take a look at, do we need to renew, ask for, essentially 2 mills, or as you said earlier, would 1.5 mills be sufficient? Do I understand that correctly?
yeah, absolutely, 100%.
We're going to take a quick break, but when we return, we'll have your 2014 primary election results. Stay tuned.
Enjoy farm fresh produce, baked goods, art, and more at the 2014 Lake Orion Farmers Market sponsored by Crittenden Hospital. Walk, bike, or drive to the Orion Arts Center located at 115 South Anderson Street. Parents can purchase products grown and made locally while kids take part in fun activities like horseshoes and arts and crafts. Come early and come often as vendors change from week to week as new crops come into season. The Lake Orion Farmers Market is held every Wednesday from 2 to 7 p.m. through October 22nd. For more information or to sign up as a vendor, visit downtownlakeorion.org.
Welcome back to this special edition of ONTV News. I'm Kayla Brandon. Election results are still trickling in, but let's take a look at where things stand now. Here are your results for the congressional race for the 8th District. Mike Bishop currently leading with 57%, and Tom McMillan with 42%. Now on the other side of the aisle, Susan Grettenberger leads with 48% of the votes, Eric Schertzing 24% of the votes, Ken Darga has 15%, and Jeffrey Hank with 11% of the votes. Here are your results for the state senator race for the 12th District. Jim Marlowe in the lead with 71% of the votes, and Bob Gray with 28%. Let's take a look at your representative race in the state legislature for the 46th district. Bradford Jacobson with 55% of the votes, and John Riley with 44%. And your results for county commissioner for the 1st district, incumbent Michael J. Gingell with 76% of the votes, and James W. Goebel with 23%. And results are in for statewide proposal 1 with 68% of you voting yes and 31% voting no. And now let's take a look at how the 3 proposed millages fared with Orion voters. The NOTA millage proposal barely getting approved with 50.7% voting yes and 49.3% voting no. And good news for the proposed additional fire operation millage for Orion, 53% voted yes and 46% voted no. And the proposed additional fire capital and equipment millage, 51% of you voted no and 48% voted yes. That's it for our election coverage. For more results, visit oakgov.com and navigate to the election coverage page. On behalf of the entire crew, I'm Kayla Brandon. Thanks for watching.